Hi, everyone. This is Angela, and you're listening to Homeschool Unrefined, the podcast where we keep homeschool simple, real, and fun.
And this is Maren. You've got episode 101, where we get unschooled with Kristiina Craven. We are going to get to that chat in just a little bit, but first we just wanted to say hello to everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're past our 100th episode and moving forward.
Yeah.
So, and we are so glad to get to know all of you. If you are part of our Facebook group, we love talking with you all there. That's called Unrefined Homeschoolers. And we also just want to say hi to our patrons. Thanks for being here and supporting us and making this happen.
Yes. And if you want to support us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/homeschoolunrefined.
Yes. Homeschool and our podcast, Homeschool Unrefined, is really all about kind of changing the conversation about homeschool. We want to make it more of you, more of who you are, make your homeschool more what you and your family need. And we are here to support that for sure.
Yeah, we are trying to encourage you to take things off of your plate instead of adding more to your plate.
Exactly.
Yep.
And we want you to just feel good about what you are doing right now in your homeschool. Because there's so many things, I think so many times, there's a lot of things, great things happening in your homeschool, in my homeschool, in our, collective homeschool, and we don't see them. Because we're thinking about all the things we need to get better at or do more of. And so we're here to say you're doing a great job right now where you're at.
For sure.
Yep.
Yes. So, Maren.
Yes.
What'd you do this morning?
It was another busy morning, as usual these days. So my 10-year-old son, newly 10-year-old son, dislocated his knee last week. A week ago. Yeah. So this morning we had a follow-up doctor visit.
Okay.
To get it all checked out.
How's everything?
Everything looks great. He needs to be in a brace for a couple more weeks.
No.
Yeah, I mean, just a small brace. It's not like he had this big brace on that he couldn't even move his knee for a week, but it's not that. So it's just a smaller one, which is good. But it's just, I think it's so funny when we go to these places. I think it's probably because my kids are homeschooled that they want to chat it up with all the adults around. Yeah. And I think I personally find it so endearing and so cute.
Yeah.
That they want to tell the story about, what happened and what they saw. And I mean, it's just like a full on reliving of the experience all over again.
Is this all of your kids or do you have a couple in particular?
I took, like today I took my three youngest kids. So, all three of them, especially, they all really loved to tell.
They like to tell what happened when he dislocated his knee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it looked like, how it felt to each of them personally. And, which I think is so great. It is wonderful that my kids feel comfortable talking to adults. I think that's a skill that sometimes gets lost in school because there's just so many other things to do. I mean, I remember as a teacher, I had to cut off a lot of great conversations because there was just too much to do, right?
Right.
So I think it's great. I think a lot of adults get kind of caught off guard by it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome if the adult actually gives them respect.
Yes.
And talks respectfully back to them, acknowledges them.
Totally. Yeah. And sometimes that doesn't happen. And then sometimes it just takes a while for the adult to kind of catch up and be like, this is okay.
Okay, you're a real person and I'm going to talk to you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I have to give you a little extra time to finish your story. Or whatever, but
that's funny.
Yeah.
I have 1 to 2 kids who do that, but not all of my kids. So I don't know if it's because they're homeschooled or just their personalities. But I do give them lots of opportunities. Like anytime we need to check in somewhere, I make them do it.
Yes.
Like we're getting a haircut, you can go tell them your name.
Yes.
I'm not going to do that because I want to make sure they get experience with that and aren't embarrassed to talk to adults.
Yes. I like it when we're at a restaurant and they need to go ask somebody for something. One of the workers.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't like doing that myself. So I like to just send somebody else to go do it.
Right. And it gives them practice. So it's good for everybody.
Practice. Exactly. Yes, exactly. Anyway, so how about you? What did you do this morning?
Well, I went to the post office in December.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. And I know I usually, actually, what I try and do if I have packages to mail, I do it from home. Like I do it online for the postal service and have them pick up the package. But I had a few different things to mail, and I knew I needed to brave the post office. So I decided to go early in the morning. And
smart.
I felt bad because I had like 10 packages, and there was a guy who came behind me. He had a cane, and he was older, and he was hobbling behind me, and he had like 3 envelopes, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like,
a lot of stuff.
And I was like, oh, you can go ahead of me. He's like, no, that's okay. He was super nice. He was like, that's okay. I'm retired. I don't have anything else to do. He's like, if I go home, I'm going to have to clean. So I'm sure you're busy.
And you're like, yeah, you're right.
And then as my order was taking a long time, I was like, are you regretting not switching with me?
He's like, I would have rather gone home to clean.
He's like, no, he was super nice. He said, do you have kids? And so we got into this conversation. He's a retired math teacher. And so we talked about, school and stuff. It was really nice, actually. So it wasn't a bad trip to the post office.
Yeah. It's nice when people around you are happy. Also,
I know.
I know. That helps.
Yeah,
out.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we have a conversation with Kristiina Craven, who we met online.
Yeah.
Because we liked her stuff.
Yeah, we love her.
Yeah. And she has a blog called Getting Unschooled, and she takes really great pictures. So if you follow her on Instagram, you've probably seen her beautiful pictures. What probably drew me in initially to her. But we talk about unschooling because she's an unschooler, and we talk about differently wired kids. We talk a lot about that,
really
actually.
Great.
It was really good. And, a lot of you have been asking for a show about differently wired kids. And so this is going to be a good one for you.
This is a great one.
Yeah.
I really appreciated her insight.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
It made me think of a lot of things. I mean, it just brought a lot of things to the front of my brain. And it made me think, it just made me think what we're doing is so good for kids who are differently wired.
Right. I mean, she talked about her whole journey because she wasn't always a homeschooler.
Yeah.
Or an unschooler. So she talked about that journey of like realizing that's what she needed to do. So I just found that really interesting. So
yeah.
And then we extended the conversation on Patreon. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you can look for that. We talked about more exciting things there. So so I hope you enjoy this conversation with Kristiina.
Hi, Christina. We are so glad you are here.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, excited.
Do you want to just start out by maybe telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My husband and I moved to Denver, Colorado from Washington, D.C. 4 years ago with our now 11-year-old girl and 12-year-old boy. And I'm a stay-at-home mom and part-time photographer, and I homeschool both kids.
Awesome. That's so great.
How long have you been homeschooling then?
We just had our 1-year anniversary my son, it's been a year, September, and my daughter, just a couple weeks ago, so like end of October.
Yeah.
1 year. So
exciting. Yeah. I did not know that you moved from Washington, D.C. to Colorado.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Me either.
Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast in kind of Northern Virginia area. Okay. And my dad was in the military and he ended up at Quantico and then he retired there when I was like 8. So I basically grew up there.
Yeah. Great.
Well, because you listen to our podcast, we love talking about personalities on our podcast. So we're just curious, do you know any of your personality types like Myers-Briggs or maybe the Enneagram?
I am prepared because I knew you were going to ask me about this. So I actually had never taken the Enneagram. And just before we hopped on, I did 2 quick tests, and they both came back with the same answers. And I don't know, like the top 3 were not, so both of them came back with 2 and 9.
Okay.
Does that sound like, can people be a 2 and a 9?
Well,
yep. Similar. Yep. I can see it.
Well, I mean, yeah, usually what happens is you'll get a couple back and then you have to read about them further and kind of decide which one fits with you. So if you're just starting, that would be a place to start. You could read about the 2 and read about the 9.
I mean, for sure, I grew up the peacemaker in the family. I'm one of 8 kids. So
one of 8. Wow.
Yeah, that would be.
One of 8. Wow.
Yes, number 7. So I'm
like 7 out of 8.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Lots of fun, but
that would make sense then. Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. That was my role, and it kind of still I'm working through that.
Totally.
And then for my Myers-Briggs, I didn't retake the test because I took it like 20 years ago, but I think this is what I was and what I still feel like I am after reading it. The ISFJ.
Okay.
That's
what I am.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah. So we're the same.
I can see it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, Angela, what are some of like the
well, you're an introvert. I mean,
for sure.
Do you feel like that's accurate? Yes.
Oh,
okay.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. And then another, a feeler. You're a feeler. So you make decisions based on your feelings rather than like concrete reasoning.
Logical. Right.
I mean, we still make decisions logically sometimes, but a lot of times emotions. Yeah. And then the J, okay, like the S and the J, I don't know how much we want to get into this, but the J's.
I think this is great.
Okay. The J's, it's called Judger, but that's not a really good name. Basically what that means is you like to have things set ahead of time rather than like waiting till last minute or being flexible. You like to for example, you want to know ahead of time that, like what you're doing on Saturday, because that makes you feel like settled and safe,
secure, control,
rather than like just waiting till Saturday morning and then deciding. That's just one example.
The thing about that is like, I love having the plans, but then like when push comes to shove, I want to cancel them and just be like,
and that's your introvert. That's your introvert. Yeah, I know. I really struggle too because I feel like I'm super flexible because I just mostly want to stay home. And my introvert is driving that. Like I love a canceled plan. Like any canceled plan.
I think I actually like canceled plans too, but for different reasons.
Why?
Because I like the freedom. I had this. I had something scheduled, which is real tough for me as an ENFP to even have things scheduled sometimes at all. And then if it gets canceled, then I have like I have freedom. I have like whatever, 2 hours of time. I get to do whatever I want now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So why don't we get started on just talking about homeschooling a little bit? Do you want to just tell us just some background about how you got started, Christina, with even just the idea of homeschooling and then how you made the decision to actually homeschool?
Sure. Yeah. So right before, or I guess when we moved here, maybe right before we moved here, when we were in Virginia, my son was in like 2nd and 3rd grade and started showing a lot of anxiety. And we weren't sure if it was an ADD or if it was the anxiety. I don't know anybody who knows like the cycle. They're like, what's driving what? So they kind of like, we tried medications. Anyways, long story short, we moved out here and the first couple months they were in public school and I was like, my kids are amazing. They're adjusting. We've just moved across country, like in the middle of the semester, and it was awesome. And then just like things fell apart about 3 months after we moved. My son, I think 3rd grade, what I'm hearing from other parents, 3rd grade is a year where it's like, you kind of start, if you've got some developmental issues or dyslexia or anything, that's kind of where you kind of see the big diversion. The kids are very aware, like, So my son was like looking around and he would say, these kids are reading chapter books and I can't even read the first sentence. And he wouldn't say like, why am I so different? He would say like really strange things that were like, I can't even really remember, but the teacher called me one day and she's like, I'm in the nurse's office. You need to call your pediatrician because something's not right. He's saying some things that are concerning. Nothing like I'm going to hurt myself. Nothing like that. But just kind of like not like fantasy things. It was just escape. It was like his coping mechanism.
Sure.
Which I learned later. So of course I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? But we had him evaluated with a psychiatrist, and she was like, no, this is not, a thought disorder or anything. He's just this is the way he's dealing with, issues or whatever. So we started seeing a therapist, and he was the one that really basically was like, you have to get a neuropsych evaluation. You need to know what's going on here. So yeah, we did that. And anybody in the audience who has done that or considered it, you pay for it out of pocket.
Oh yes, we've done it.
We've done it. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal, but
we had to save up for it.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like that's another discussion. But anyways,
it is.
Yeah. So we did that, and I will never forget when the therapist came out and he said after the first day. So we spread it out. After the first day, he said, well, he's got dyslexia. And I was like relieved.
Yeah.
Because, we were like, what's going on?
We
right.
Can deal with dyslexia.
Yes. Now, but then I was like, he could see that I had this relief, and he was like, well, there's a lot more going on. Like you need to, it was like one of those like kind of gut punches. So he basically said he also has an expressive and receptive language disorder. So he just has a processing issue. And so hearing things like, he's never been diagnosed with an auditory processing disorder, but we're pretty sure that's what he has, like just based on symptoms. It's really hard to diagnose apparently, but based on symptoms, that's what's going on. And, he'll hear, do you guys remember when you used to sing songs and you'd be like singing the lyrics, thinking you were singing correctly. And then later you read the lyrics and you were like, oh my God, no, it sounded exactly the same, but it's different words.
Yeah.
That's what he struggles with. Like he'll repeat back to us, like, did you just say blah, 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 blah? And I'll be like, no, it was, the syllables were the same, but the words were not,
Sure.
So he struggles with, and we're kind of fast talkers in our family. So he's like, that's his issue is we have to slow down and let him kind of process everything. So anyways, that was really informative, but also, just, you don't want your kids to be struggling. So it was really upsetting, obviously. Yeah. But so this therapist was like, now that, and he was also high probability, autism spectrum.
Oh, okay.
Which was no surprise to us. Like,
okay.
That was kind of like what we thought was going on, all along anyways. He's been in therapy since he was 20 months old.
Oh, wow.
He didn't say mama until he was 26 months. He started out on sign language. So we knew, we always knew, like, we just didn't know what, it's just like this vague, like, he needs therapy, but we don't even really know what we're treating.
Sure. Yep. So this gave you lots of answers to that.
It did, yeah. And it gave us the push, like, okay, public school, basically the public school system was amazing. Like they were so supportive, and we had, all the support we could get out of public school, the IEP, and we had services, and the teachers were just, honestly, I just had the best teachers, like in dealing with a situation like this, just caring, and
that's
they cared
so
great. Yeah.
That's amazing to hear.
Yep.
It was really a positive experience. But then when they said basically that he would have to have someone sitting next to him until he graduated from high school based on these, I was like, my husband and I were like, this is not what we had in mind for our kid. Like, that's awesome that they could offer that support.
But awesome, but it's not what you want. Yeah.
No. So anyways, there's a school here in Denver called Denver Academy, which is a school for, kind of differently wired kids, I guess is the phrase people have been using more and more. And they don't call it learning disabilities. They call it learning differences. Yeah. And it's a school for kids that just have either attention issues or dyslexia or just social, issues going on. And we got basically accepted that summer between 3rd and 4th grade. And he started going to the school. I know, it's so crazy, you guys. We moved across country and landed 10 minutes away from this incredible school.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome.
It was just so crazy how that
and you weren't even like looking for that when you moved there. It was just there.
No. It was a gift for sure. Yeah, and that really helped with his confidence and kind of, I always say it was like a great stepping stone from public school to homeschooling for us. Like that's, so anyways, he was there for 2 years, and then we struggled socially still, and a little bit with school work as well. I mean, homework was still a struggle.
Yeah.
They were tailoring things to him, so that's what I loved about it. And it was small. It was like 11 kids in a classroom, so it was great, ideal, right? But some bullying things going on. Just, I mean, that's part of life too. Like, right. I know you guys know. Like, it's kind of like, well,
it's part of life, but they're also so little. It's not something that like a third or fourth grader should be dealing with, or anybody really. But
yeah.
So
and then it's just so tough. Like there are every situation is so different. And sometimes it's like, well, it's good to like stick with it and keep going. And then sometimes it's like, this is just not the right thing for you right now. And
gotta get you out of there. Like for us, the mental health piece was top priority. But so I forgot one important thing. We were doing tutoring when he was still in public schools. And the tutor had said to me when she knew we were looking into going to this private school, she was like, you should really consider homeschooling. And I literally was like,
okay. I was going to ask you, like, when did it get on your radar? When was it? When did you start like thinking maybe?
Is that the first time it was on your radar?
That's
a little bit?
The first time it was ever mentioned to. Like it wasn't on my radar at all because I mean, growing up, homeschoolers were weird. Like I just that's just not something I had.
Totally.
Yeah,
that was the generation for us. Like it was like we're just the weirdos.
It was. Yep.
So, but she was really cool. She's like, you can do it. And I'm thinking, we just got all these diagnoses. That's another reason I was like, I don't know. I don't know how to teach this kid. Right. That's not on I'm not skilled. So that was just kind of at the back of my mind. And then we really thought that the private school was our solution. We really thought that was going to be the answer. And then, so 6th grade started and I got a phone call the second day. And I was at the school, I would say on average twice a week, sometimes more for, panic attacks, just something's not going well. Right. So that was, we knew that obviously there were other things going on and, we have him, he's in therapy. We're trying everything, to try to get him to be able to, be in the school. So day 2 came and, he had a meltdown. I don't even remember about what. And I remember that night we were at this like Minecraft class and I was on my computer in tears, like researching homeschool, or actually I wasn't even really researching homeschool at that point. I was researching tutors. Tutors because I was still I do this, right?
Like a homeschool tutor to come to your house. Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what I was looking to. And oddly enough, the engineer, there's a couple that runs this Minecraft kind of classes or whatever. She was with me out in the waiting area and was so cool. She was just like, you can homeschool. And I think it's amazing. She's like, she's like, our homeschool kids that come in here for classes are the best kids ever. And I think it's amazing. And so that also gave me like a little boost, and then I stumbled across, I knew tutoring wasn't going to work. There's no tutors that are just magically available to come in and teach kids, right? Like they're that good. They're teaching somewhere already, or they're, you know what I mean? There wasn't a pool of this, like, So while I was researching, I stumbled across Unschooling and John teaching and books and quotes. And I was like, oh my God, like it hit me like a bolt of lightning. I was like, this is our answer. And I had a date night the next night with my husband. And I was so nervous to broach the subject with him because I was like, he's going to shoot it down. He's gonna be like, you're crazy. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And he just said, I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, he didn't know what unschooling was, but thinking like, we can't. I just kept thinking, I can't go another year of the ups and downs and just watching him struggle. That was my motivation.
Yeah. And I remember being at that point too, thinking, I think it's better for our kids if they just don't learn anything for a year. If this, whatever we're doing, the way we're going to homeschool, if it doesn't work, it's better they just not learn anything, which is now in my mind, I'm like, they can't not learn things, obviously. But, at the time I was like, if they don't learn one thing, it's probably better because we just need the emotional and, the personal growth more at home. Like that's what I knew that was going to be the thing that was going to work And I knew that, but I was nervous about academics mostly. And I just thought, I guess for a year, if they don't learn one thing, that's going to be okay.
Right.
On the academic side, right? But you knew that they would grow otherwise, right?
Right, exactly. And now, obviously I know that learning it is impossible to stop learning, really. So, now I'm glad we just did it, but.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I was just listening to your episode on the Childled Learning, which is kind of the same thing. I mean, that's basically what we do. Mm-hmm. And I resonated with everything you were saying. And I will say that I don't know how much you guys have talked about deschooling on the podcast.
We've talked a little bit about it, especially we had one episode that we really talked about a lot about it. But I
mean, looking back, I'm like, it's imperative that people, especially if they've been in school, like especially for Towns, because I think he was very untrusting and very in fact, we started a science, we're doing this, what's it called? It's like a homeschool, what's the science competition?
Robotics?
Anyways, it's this, public schools do it and they'd make these teams.
I don't know.
Anyway,
you're blanking.
I can picture it.
It's a homeschool parents couple that's doing this, and it's amazing. It's twice a month, and so he went and there's a elementary school level, and then there's like a middle and high school level, and they do the competition team. And I was like, my kids aren't going to want to do that, but I'm sure they'll want to do the elementary school level, even though Towns should be in 7th grade. And so we get there and he was like, I'm not staying with Element. He's like, I'm going to, and like in 45 minutes in, he comes out and he was like, Mom, you didn't tell me this was going to be like school. So we moved. So I said, well, you can do the elementary. They're just learning about animals and like doing projects. And he was like, awesome. So that's what they do. And he is anything that smells, if there's a sniff of formal education, he still is resistant to it, even though it's getting easier. So I was saying to my husband the other day, I said, I really think, I wish I had done a pure deschooling last year, but I was too scared with some of his issues. Like he was still doing a reading, recovering once a week with a teacher. And then also a social speech therapy once a week. And while I think that stuff is important, I do feel like we could be even further along if we had just purely taken that year off. But it's hard to do. I mean, I know you can relate. I can't just not do anything. Right?
I know.
You already feel like you're doing this huge countercultural thing by, okay, we're going to homeschool. And then and then there's the pressure to, we have to do it right. You can't just deschool. I mean, that's what's running through your mind, Right. And so did you just kind of, did you do deschooling then later? Like, did you start kind of more hardcore and then you backed off a little, or?
I mean, I think as far as there's no curriculm.
Yep.
It's very basically we were just kind of like whatever they're interested in and just try to explode on that topic. But then he did those 2 classes, and my daughter does dance. I can't remember what else. I feel like we did something else more formal last year, but it's not coming because she didn't start till after the first quarter. But we were pretty much unschooling from the start.
Good.
Yeah.
So, and did you, so you had your son, you first started homeschooling your son, and then did you kind of see, I kind of like this is working. I think my daughter should come home too.
Yes. I forgot that part of the story.
Yeah.
She's considered neurotypical, and was doing fine in school. I mean, not one way or the other, just average student, liked it. Wasn't. So my husband and I just were obsessed with this whole concept. We were like, this is genius. My husband was like, why didn't we think of this sooner? Like, this is so amazing. Like,
that's so great that he was on board. So on board with it.
I mean, I think he thinks like, God, if I had this growing up, like I could have started a business when I was 16 versus
so my husband thinks too.
Yeah.
That's totally what my husband thinks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we sat my son down like a week after we had the initial discussion because we're very quick to make decisions. So we wanted to like really think this through and do more research. So we were like, okay, let's just take a breath, take a beat. But we decided, and we sat him down and we explained, this is what we were going to do. And my son was like, this sounds just like me. He was like, this is like, it was so sweet. So we told our daughter a couple days later, I think, I don't remember. And I just said, hey, have you heard us talking about homeschooling? This is what we're going to do with Towns. And it's going to be kind of this unschooling approach. And it sounds so amazing. We think that after you finish out 5th grade, we'd like for you to give it a try in 6th and see if you like it. We were very like casual about it.
Yeah.
And she was just like, that sounds really great for Towns. I'm good. I'm good to stay in school. Like she wasn't. So I was like, okay, we still wanted her to try it, and we probably would have pushed the issue just because I think it would be a great experience for any kid. But she just started kind of pounding us with questions like, how am I going to learn math? How am I going to, and the big one that stood out, she said, how am I going to learn trigonometry? And we were like, you're not going to need trigonometry, but if you really want to learn it, we'll figure out a way. Like, we'll find a teacher that really wants to teach, if you want to learn it. Like anything you're interested in, there's a way. And so she kind of slowly started just processing it and just asking a lot of questions, which I love. I think it's amazing. And she just kind of
is so great.
Yeah, she inched her way towards it, and she kept moving up the date. She was like, okay, well, maybe I'll do it after Christmas break.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do it. And then it just like, it was like, okay, after end of quarter, fall break, that's when I'm doing it. And we tell her all the time, we're like, hey, if you really want to have the high school experience, like we're open to that. I mean, not really, but like we would if she really wanted it. Yeah. But she told us, she was just like, I'll never step foot in a school again.
Oh, really?
So
wow.
It's like convert 100%.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. That's
that's
awesome.
probably just like the best way to do it. Like, I mean, that is like a true interest-led kind of way to start homeschooling. Like, you don't have to do this. Just if you're interested in doing it, we'll do it and
try it. Yeah.
It was her choice. And then she was like completely bought into it. So
that's awesome.
That's great.
Yay on us, I guess.
Yeah. Way to go. I know. That's so great though. It's like you probably just kind of knew that. You just knew that in your gut. That was the right thing for her.
I guess.
So, Christina, I loved hearing about how you started. What does a typical day look like for you now? And is it like, do you call yourself an unschooler, or what do you do? How do you define that? And like, what does it look like to you?
Yeah. So it's so funny. We do consider ourselves unschoolers, but like I belong to a homeschooling group in a city close by, and it is so funny how they don't, like, I don't think anybody in the group calls themselves an unschooler, but I'm like, you're unschooling. Like, you are not like it, but it is this, I love the spectrum. Like, there are people that are like sitting at a table with worksheets during these hours to people that are like, we just don't do anything. Right. Like, so I think honestly, I feel like everybody's unschooling. Like when I hear you guys talk about your, like, it really is like every kid's different, and you just kind of work with each kid. And so we do consider ourselves unschoolers. Just a side note, funny story about that. I've got a friend who is a hardcore unschooler, and she thinks I'm nuts that I talk about it. Oh, because she feels like it's
a secret.
Well, and just that,
like it's taboo, kind of like
the government's going to be like, you can't just not teach it, right? So this funny story, I ran into a neighbor like 3 or 4 months after we started doing this, and she's like, how's it going? How's homeschooling going? And I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing. Like, we love it. And she's like, well, what kind of curriculum are you using? And I was like, curriculum, I was just like, nah. And the look on her face, literally could not, it was just like total shock and horror. Like, oh my God, what are you doing to these kids? Yep. And I was telling my buddy, who's this unschooler, the story, and she was like, oh my God, total rookie mistake. What are you doing? Like, you don't tell people
don't lead with that.
Right. She's like, just be vague. Say you're like exploring curriculums and like, and it just makes me laugh, because I'm fine to tell people now, but I mean, like, you have to know when someone's ready to hear it. And I think you just kind of, you have to, I don't know, just be aware of your audience, not because I'm scared, but just more like, this is something that's kind of, like you said, counterculture. It's not the norm. And like, while we are like, this is the most amazing thing ever that has ever happened to our family, other people are like, this is weird. You're ruining your kids. Like, they're not getting.
And even if you described your day as opposed to calling it unschooling, that might make a difference for somebody. Just using the word might be scary, but if you described all the things you do every day, they might be like, oh yeah, that sounds just great.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
So you just never know.
Yeah, exactly. So our typical day is my kids. Hopefully no one wants to shoot me after I say this, but they sleep in.
Yeah, great.
Which is great. Another benefit.
Yeah, great.
Which is another benefit of homeschooling, right? They need their sleep. I'm such a big proponent of that. And but I do have a little bit of a limit, and I'm working with kind of a parenting coach who kind of helped me with this, because I was like, should I wake them up? Should I? I didn't know. So he's like, even if you guys are unschooling, you still kind of have to have a routine. And the kids, I know kids thrive on routine. So while we love the flexibility, I think it is important. So I wake them up, I get up early and I get my stuff done. It's great. As an introvert, I get my time. I can shower, I do a little bit of work, I can eat in peace and do my thing. And then I wake them up at 9. And between 9 and 10, they have an hour to get dressed, eat, and do usually they unload the dishwasher, and they can also do a little bit of screen time if they have time. That's their hour to kind of ease in. And then between 10 and 2 that's our time. That's what I guess people from the outside looking in would be like, okay, that's their homeschool time. That's when I'm available to them. That's when we do our thing. We go to museums, we take the dogs for a long walk, we play board games, we read. I'm reading the Story of the World.
Okay.
And they love that. And that's a really great jumping off point for discussions
really good.
Library books that we'll go get because, we're learning about something that sparks an interest. And we do some reading on some government related books on big picture stuff, just just things to get the discussions going. But we don't do any worksheets. We don't do, it's really math that they learn is in the moment. So when my daughter's doing sewing, that's when we're learning about the rulers and the, whatever she needs to, when we're baking. We're sometimes I'll specifically say, okay, double the recipe. So they have to double the fractions and figure that out. And
real life
stuff. Exactly. And if they're in the moment, I feel like they'll learn it better. And also if they're interested in it, which I think that's the point, you guys were talking about. They're not going to learn it if we're you have to learn this.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Yeah. Right. That sounds great.
It is so true. It is so true. So I love hearing that from other people too. Because I really think that Angela really thinks that, but it's so good for us to just let's bond over that, this idea, because it's so important for us to hear.
For myself, I don't retain anything that I'm just not interested in. I wish I was more interested in politics. I have a general idea of what's going on, but people are quoting senators and I'm I just can't, I just don't care now. But photography, you could not stop my motivation for learning more. I can't get enough of it.
Right.
And I think that's the perfect example of, and I love that I'm showing that to my kids as well, as an example, you got to have curiosity at the very least.
Example of that interest-led learning.
Yeah.
So that is so great.
So then after 2, what do you guys do after 2:00 every day?
So after 2 is when I get some work done and they can do screen time.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they have some, and we're pretty loosey-goosey when it comes to screen time. I know that's a hot button issue, but
it can be, yeah.
We do limit YouTube time. I don't know about your kids, but they love watching other people play video games.
Yeah, that's...
I don't mind that. I don't mind that, I hear my son laughing. I love that, but I also know that they could be watching something that's a little bit better for their brains. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we limit that, and then they can watch, they can watch shows or educational stuff. And then usually between 4 and 5, I make them take a break. We try to get them outside just by themselves and, and then dinner, and then they can do some more screens that night. I really like it when they play video games together, but they're going through a phase of I think they need some new video games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love the teamwork and
I know, right?
It's really good.
It's hard to say no to video games when they're playing together.
Yes.
For me.
Yes. I agree.
Hey, You guys are not fighting. You're helping each other through this game. Please,
you're problem solving.
Keep going.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my son is very, like, my daughter, she'll get bored of screens, whereas my son could be on screens for 3 days straight and not eat, and he'd be fine, right? Like, and so you have to just, for me, I have to be aware of the positives and negatives of both of that. So if I'm concerned, I'll say, hey, can you get on to do, learning games versus like, I try not to use that word. I'm just like, can you go Ranger Rick and do some animal games or whatever?
Yeah, I think that's great. I hate to label those things too, but I also like try to direct in the same way.
So I can feel less bad about the screen.
Exactly.
But you know what? I also, my husband and I talk about this all the time. Like, I'm a visual learner, and my husband's not. Like, he prefers to read, and that makes me want to, like, I'm like, I'll go to YouTube if I need to learn something. That's so I know my son's the same way. Like, he likes to visually learn, so I try to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So true.
So him watching all that YouTube, it's not bad. It's not all bad. There's a lot of good that comes from that.
Oh, for sure. And they're learning a lot. And I'm, we set restrictions on it, but the other day he was showing me a video and it had some word in it. And I was like, I let it slide. And then something later in the video, I was like, Towns, this is completely inappropriate. I don't know how this slipped through the filter. I guess nobody has like marked it as bad or whatever. I said, if you hear a bad word in the beginning, I'm not saying the word is bad. Like, it's okay, but just know that that's not a video that's geared towards kids. Because the YouTube guys that they watch, those guys are really savvy. They know, like, their audience are like 10-year-olds, right? Like,
you know what I think is a better filter than YouTube? Siblings. The siblings are all great at telling on each other, like, that is not a good YouTube. You shouldn't be watching that.
I love
or something. And that's what I've learned more from the other kids than like from the actual filter that
so true. I go to my daughter.
Controls.
Yes, I go and say, "Have you seen this?" And I'll say yes or no, and she'll be like, "No, not appropriate."
Exactly.
That's funny.
So, Christina, we are curious. Self-care is something that is so important to us, and we talk about it a lot on our podcast and social media, and we work really hard to make it a priority.
I know. It's mostly just so we want to hold ourselves accountable, basically.
Yes. And I see you doing lots of great things for yourself. And so I am picturing you like having a great self-care plan for yourself. I'm curious, what kinds of things do you do to take care of yourself or for yourself?
That is a really great question, and one that I'm actually working on. I think I'm really, like, today I was struggling and I was like, oh, okay, I need a break. I'm not really good about seeing that ahead of time, even though I know it's important. I mean, sometimes I can just say, hey, after dinner, like, I'm checking out. Like, I need to regroup and just go up to my room and watch, The Office or something. But, today I was really struggling to, like, keep my patience and that kind of thing. And I just thought, I think I need to, like, go see A Star Is Born or something. I need to go do my own
You
thing.
do need to go see that.
We do.
Definitely. You do.
Have you seen it already, or are you?
No,
the first time? You need to see that. Yeah.
I know my husband won't be interested, and I love going to the movies by myself. So that's
perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I wish I was in Denver right now.
Aw, that'd be so fun.
Yes.
I mean, I do I see a chiropractor once a week. I think that's really important, even though it's really brief. I was talking to my mom the other day, and she was like, "Is something wrong? Is your back?" And I was like, "No, it's just preventative care. It's great."
Yes, for sure.
And I was better about scheduling massages, but I really struggle. I don't know about you guys, but it's just like, I feel because I love them so much. I'm like,
it feels indulgent, but it's
not. So indulgent, but I do think it's really important. Yeah.
What did my son say about me going to massages?
Oh yeah.
Something like,
okay. So I was driving him home one day and he said something like, I don't remember the question,
like,
but he said
my mom goes to massages. She tells us that she needs it, but I think she actually really likes it.
I think she just likes it, and he talks so cute and slow. Yeah, and I was like, really? You think? Because I know you're working on this neck issue. Like, you're going for like
It's necessary.
It's necessary. And if it's not, even if it's not, it's okay. Like,
I know,
right.
It's okay.
Right.
But I know what you're doing. So I was like, you think she's lying about that? He's like, no, I think she does probably need it, but I think she also likes it.
Accurate. He is accurate.
Oh. I know. And it's like teaching that, like, I think honestly, my motivation for that is teaching my kids that it's okay to have those self-indulgent things.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
We need to, take care of ourselves because you can't pour from an empty cup. I know that's so cliche, but it's so true.
Yeah.
Well, and then one thing we see just from, we don't know you in real life, but we do know you, just from social media and just through homeschooling and stuff. But like what we see from you is like you're taking care of yourself just by you do so many things that you like to do, whether it's photography, or I know you do lots of like, I don't know. I think you're really great at fashion. Like you find good things to wear.
Yeah,
and
do.
You share them.
Yeah.
And I think that's so great.
Oh my God.
You take care of yourself by like,
yes.
finding things you like.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I do, I take care of myself in that respect because it's fun to me. And you're right. That is a really good point. I never looked at it from that perspective before because it does make me feel good. Like I like to feel like put together. And I mean, I'm not like a fashion plate or anything. Oh my God, that dated me.
Kind of.
Who uses fashion
me, you are.
anymore?
It's all relative, but yes.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of fun for me too. I did, let's see, I'm trying to think of how I'm due for another one of these. When the kids were younger, my husband was really good about like sending me to a hotel for a night or two and watching the kids. Yeah. And that's like a dream.
I want to do that.
Oh my God. The best.
I used to do that when my kids were little too.
You get to watch whatever you want. You order room service. Like it's the best thing ever. So I did that a couple months ago, just one night. And it was so funny. I'm sure you can relate to this. Like I was rushing back. Like it had been 24 hours and I was like,
oh my gosh.
I get here. These people couldn't have given two craps. They were like,
I know. Seriously.
Like, I'm here. Let's, I was like, why did I bother to even go? I should have just stayed a whole nother day. Like, but it was really good. Like that kind of thing is, and I think you can't wait around for someone to be like, you need a break.
You're right.
Like as much as people like they may even think that, but I'm really good about speaking up and being like, you know what? I need to be out of here. Like I just, I get support, nothing but support from my husband on that. And even my kids, like, and I think it's good for them to see that behavior model.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's so good.
You also take care of yourself by eating really healthy foods.
That's very
I'm just
true.
going to tell you all the ways you're taking care of yourself. You are.
I've never framed it in this way, but yes, I'm a very healthy eater because it makes you feel good. And that is a priority for me because I don't like not feeling well. I don't like, and I don't think because it doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
I don't like the buzz is not worth the feeling like crap the next day to me.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
I guess don't you all feel like the older you get, you're like, I don't care anymore what anybody else thinks about that. It's just
so true. Yes, 100%. I've had this discussion a lot with people where it's just like, maybe you would fit in a little better in a social circle if you just, threw a couple back, but it's not worth it,
Not worth it.
I'd rather connect with someone in, a real, genuine way that's going to, last. So I guess that is, thank you for telling me I'm taking care of it.
Yes. Well, sometimes, it's like, sometimes you're just like too close to the situation and you're like, well, it's good for somebody outside to kind of see him.
Yeah. No, it's true. But I just think it's selfish maybe. And maybe the self-care is where, I love that you're framing it that way because I just really want to feel good in all aspects of my life, even though I know that's not always real life, but I try.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah. And it does, just like we were talking about with the massage, it does feel selfish, but really it's self-care. A lot of it is self-care. So we just have to kind of like sometimes reframe those things. I know I need to. a lot.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I met at a holiday party a year or two ago. One of the partners my husband works with, he came up to me and was like, you need to book him a spa day. Like he puts up with so much crap from us. Like he really, and it made me realize, like, I mean, he's pretty good about being like, I'm going golfing. Like and I encourage that 100%. Like I love it, but
totally.
There are things that he could probably be doing too. And I feel like maybe I need to just go ahead and schedule that for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's so funny, you guys. I get regular pedicures because I have the most banged up like feet where like, anyways, I won't get into it, but I always have to be like, well, I can't do it myself. I have to get this pedicure because I can't, this one issue that I have, instead of just being like, I'm going to get a pedicure. Like,
right.
You don't need to justify it. Just do it.
Exactly. So I'm learning, but I think we all, I do think self-care is important, but I think we all, it's such a challenge. I wish it wasn't.
Yeah.
It is. I know, you're right. Yeah. We just haven't really been trained to think about that for ourselves always.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys can relate. I mean, my mom never
my mom didn't do that.
I know.
Never. I mean, and if she did, it was just the guilt, or she judged other people like, you're going on a vacation. Like I remember that when she would say that to us, and I'm like, yep, we work, we make money, we're going on vacation, because we never went on vacation growing up, right? Like,
right.
And I think it's a generational thing that maybe a little bit of that's trickled down to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. So true. I mean, from generations too, for sure. Gosh. Right. Anyway, so you also have a blog. Okay. Another great thing. I know you talked about how you sometimes do work in the afternoons. Is that when you work on your blog, or how do you get that done?
Yeah. Honestly, it's just, my free time, like that is self-care to me. Like even when the kids were in school, like I was like, I needed to be using my brain for something. Like and that's like I love blogging. I just think the whole process of it is a lot of fun, like writing it and actually like putting it up and doing the SEO and all that stuff. So for me, that's fun, as well as like the photography part of it, which is like just, my huge passion. So I actually, like I mentioned to you guys before, I kind of fell off the wagon a little. We went home for a couple weeks in August back to the East Coast. And for whatever reason, when I came back, I had been posting once a week, sometimes like 3 times a week, and for like a year and a half. And then like,
that's a lot.
I don't know if I don't know.
Needed a break.
I really kind of had the spark again, because like I told you, I've had some people reach out to me and just like, especially the people that are doing more of an unschooling approach, just grateful to have like an example. Cause I do a lot of like week in the life or day in the life, just to show kind of this kind of things we do. And I did it for that reason, because honestly, there were most people were supportive of us, but we had some people close to us who were like, what are you doing? Like,
Yep.
So that was kind of my way of being like, this is what we're doing. And it's awesome, you know?
Totally. Yeah. I feel the same way about the podcast. It's like, this is what we're doing. Yeah. And I also do feel, I mean, we have felt that too. I know, Angela, you can speak for yourself too, but I know we've gone through like, wow, we are, we need breaks for sure. We love doing it so much that we forget to take breaks.
And then you're like,
until it's too late.
Till it's too late.
Yeah.
And then like all this stuff piles up, and then we have holidays and birthdays, and we're like, oh my goodness. So
yeah. And I think it's good too to separate, like the work is good. And like we like doing that. You also need other self-care type breaks, even though you enjoy the work that you're doing.
That's such a great point. Right. Yeah, there's a big distinction there.
Yeah.
It is so true. So I love hearing that. I love hearing how you process all that, because I think we're all kind of in that same boat for sure. We need things besides our kids, to take care of, or to work on. And whether it's a job or a blog or, whatever it is,
right.
A hobby, it's good to figure out that balance.
Yeah. The episode on, how we work with an E was great. And it's so true. It's like, even though I find it amazing, you do also need a break from that. Even if you love it, like you love the podcasting, you still need.
Yep.
So I thought that was important.
Yeah.
So true.
Well, we loved having you so much, Christina. This has been such a great conversation.
Really good.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This is fun. I'm so glad I got to talk to you guys.
Yeah. And so can you tell our listeners where they can find you, like your blog and social media and stuff like that?
Yeah. So if I remember, my blog is gettingunschooled.com.
Yep.
And then I think that's my Instagram. No, my Instagram is Kristiina.Craven. And Christina is 2 I's after the T, which is super annoying, but like, it's just my mom's Finnish. So that's the Finnish.
I was going to ask that because my husband is Finnish too. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So.
My sister's name is Lisa with 2 I's.
Oh,
so. Yeah.
It's unique. So that's great.
It is. I love that.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people have corrected it. Like when I'm turning in like official paperwork, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you had an extra I after the T." I'm like, "Yep, I did."
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for all that you're doing. I love just the message that you're spreading and just the community that you're growing.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you adding to that so much.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Christina. That was a great conversation.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I feel ready to do some great things with my kids now.
Yeah.
So I'm inspired. So thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed that. And if you want to talk more about it, join our Facebook group, Unrefined Homeschoolers. We have great conversations about the episodes and about lots of other things.
Yes, for sure. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to loving this week.
Yes. Angela, what are you loving this week?
Okay. I am loving a hair product.
Okay.
Which I don't usually talk about.
No
so
kidding.
I have very thick, wavy hair.
Yes.
And I would say I would even call it curly in some parts, straight in others.
Yeah.
It's not like consistent. Yep. But it is very thick. In fact, I got my hair cut this weekend by somebody new, and I had my hair up in a bun. Yeah. And I took it down, and she gasped. She gasped. And I said, I have a lot of hair. And she's like, yeah. And then it was funny. And then I got it cut. So I always get bulk taken out of it,
Okay. And how do you do that?
I don't know. They
use a little,
that little thingy, and they take pieces out. Yeah. I don't know. After she was done, she's like, you should feel your hair. It almost feels normal. I was like, I kind of looked, I don't know. I was like, normal? And she's like, oh, I didn't mean normal. Not that your hair is not normal. I mean, it's just, it almost feels like, I know. Anyway, so that's the background on my hair. And I don't wash my hair very often. I probably wash it once every week to 10 days. We'll just say. But when I do, I never have found a good conditioner because it just like takes me forever to brush through the snarls. I'm just not good at that. And I tried that curly girl method, and I don't have curly enough hair to do that.
Oh,
so
really? Okay.
It never looked good that way. So anyway, I have to brush out the snarls, and I never have found a good conditioner until I found this amazing product it's from Shea Moisture.
Okay.
I don't know if you've used that product before.
I have seen that. Well, I've seen it at Target.
Yeah, they have it at Target.
Okay, yeah.
So it's supposedly like kind of natural.
Oh, okay.
Good. So bonus. Yeah. But it's called Extra Moisture Detangler. And it is the best conditioner. It is like slippery, and I like easily brush my hair out after using this stuff. You can leave it in. It says you can either leave it in or wash it out. So I left it in, and I was really skeptical because then I don't want to have like crunchy hair or product in my hair. It didn't feel like that at all.
Really?
It felt normal when it dried. Yes. So I am now.
That's amazing.
Loving this stuff so much.
I'm going to want to get that for my daughter because she has very, very thick.
Yes, you should.
Full hair. Yeah.
You should.
It's so tricky. I mean, actually, I have 2 daughters now with that kind of stuff.
There it is.
Yep.
I get it on Amazon.
I've seen it.
Extra Moisture Detangler. They have a lot of products, but for some reason this one is amazing. I love it. So
that's so great.
Yeah. So Maren, what are you loving this week?
Okay, I am loving a new coffee maker.
Oh, yeah. I heard you were looking for one.
I know. I'm laughing because you're like, I've heard enough about this, Maren.
No.
But our coffee maker went out. I obsessively tried to find the perfect coffee maker for me because I don't know. I just think this is a big purchase. I don't want to buy a new coffee maker for a long time, and I want good coffee every day. Is it going to be, I mean, how hard can it be? It was kind of hard.
Okay. What is it?
So it is called the Bonavita 8-cup, 1-touch coffee maker.
Okay.
And it's on Amazon. So I went on Amazon first, looked. This one actually doesn't have like it's not the highest rated on Amazon. It's got like 3.5 stars. So I thought, But then I went and read a bunch of articles, and this one was like always on people's like top 5.
Okay.
Which is so interesting.
Yep.
And then I asked in our Facebook group, Unrefined Homeschoolers, and there were seconds and thirds for this recommendation. And so I decided to get it.
Yeah.
And it did not disappoint.
Is it just a regular coffee maker?
Just a regular coffee maker. It's a drip coffee maker.
Yeah.
It has one button on the whole thing, which I actually really love because I'm fine with features are great. Our last coffee maker had like 20 features and it was super fancy. It just didn't make the best coffee ever. So I was like, I'm willing to get rid of all the features and I just want one good pot of coffee, and this is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I might have to get that because I don't drink coffee and neither does Jeremy. But we have people over often enough. Probably 3 times a year. Or, like maybe for a party or something. And then when my in-laws come and stay, they like to have coffee in the morning. Yeah. So do my parents.
Yes.
And I have this small old Keurig that I never have the pods for. Yeah. So can you bring your own pods? Yeah. My father-in-law brings his own pods. Yeah, and I feel bad. And so I need to just be a better host. So I've been actually in the back of my mind thinking I need to get a coffee maker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I might get this one.
It's very simple. Yeah. Like, it's just
that's
simple.
what I want.
Yep.
Great.
The one thing that's different about it is you have to take the cover of the carafe off to put the coffee filter on. Like it just sits on top of the carafe kind of.
Okay.
So when you're done making your coffee, you take this coffee filter basket off.
Okay.
And then put the cover on, which actually is great because it seals it up and keeps it really hot for a long time.
Oh, that's nice.
But it's just you have to get used to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. We appreciate you so much. If you would like to follow us, we are on Facebook and Instagram at Homeschool Unrefined. We have that closed Facebook group, Unrefined Homeschoolers, that we'd love to have you join. Mm-hmm. And we have a website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find links to everything that we talked about. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Homeschool Unrefined is created and produced by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Ethan Miller is our editor, and Amanda Ginn is our VP of all the important things.